they want to do. For more details, we are having from London Dr. Marcus, and actually we are going to start with some of the questions on this matter. Dr. Marcus, the stance of European countries is very obvious now that NATO countries, they are somehow opposing Trump's stance. Trump is saying that all European countries want to support him, but the other countries, they didn't announce that they do so. How do you actually evaluate this matter?
Well, first of all, let us be emphatically clear about something. The British ruling elite, along with the European Union ruling elite, have no love for Iran and no love for the Iranian people. The reason as to why they refuse to join America and Israel in their war against Iran, and the reason why they refuse to join America in its naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, is not because they support the Iranian people, it's because they despise Trump. For the British ruling elite and the European Union ruling elite, they see this as an opportunity for Trump to hang himself. So again, the British ruling elite and the European ruling elite are no friends of peace. They are both as pro-war and they are both warmongers as any of their predecessors before. But there is a problem between the American deep state, the British deep state, the EU deep state on the one hand, and Trump on the other hand. So that is why Britain and the European Union will not, so to speak, play ball with the Trump administration concerning Iran.
So, Dr. Marcus, talking about this context and how European countries refuse to get into Iran's war and also refuse to support Trump in having a blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, why do you think the European countries are not just going there in order to support diplomatically, not, militarily, but to support diplomatically opening Strait of Hormuz? I mean, I believe that Macron, French president, has already announced that there will be a kind of conference next week between Britain and France in order to having some opening the Strait of Hormuz. What do you think?
All of Trump's actions vis-a-vis Iran have to be seen in the context of Israel, because Trump himself and senior members of his administration are controlled not so much by Netanyahu, but by the Israeli state. So Trump's decision to implement a naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz has nothing to do with protecting America or the American people or the American economy. No, it is about continuing pressure on Iran in order to benefit Israel. And it is not as if Starmer or Macron are not controlled by powerful forces which rule the Western world. No, but those powerful forces, as I said moments ago, do not like Trump. There is also another dimension to this. Trump's naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is reminiscent of John F. Kennedy's naval blockade of Cuba in 1962, which Kennedy referred to as a quarantine. Like Kennedy's naval blockade of Cuba, Trump's naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is illegal and impractical and not practical. Why? Because in the short term, Iran will sustain some damage. However, in the long term, it will not. The countries which are suffering most of the damage at the moment as a result of the war, and more so now because of Trump's naval blockade, is the Arab Gulf countries, because the Arab Gulf countries are not able to sell, to export their oil as they did before the war. And they will suffer all the more so because of Trump's naval blockade. So Trump is desperate. Trump has taken America into what is a very deep quagmire. And I suspect that Trump will not persist with this naval blockade. I suspect he's trying to apply pressure, maximum pressure on the Iranian government, but it will not work. It will not work politically, militarily, or economically.
So actually, you've just explained the goals of Trump and how Iran is going to tackle the threats. But maybe you can clarify more on how NATO countries or European countries, they don't want to be involved in the war of Iran and US and Israel. And you are totally right, yes, and they don't want to be engaged in this war. Why they don't involve in kind of diplomatic efforts as a kind of mediators in order to provide insurance or a guarantee for Iran?
Ever since the end of the Second World War in 1945, Europe has been neither free nor independent. Today, Europe is controlled by what I describe as the Western ruling elites, or what other people would describe as globalists. So the likes of Starmer and Macron and Merz, for example, have no power whatsoever. They are completely impotent. The people who rule Europe are effectively the same people who rule America. Trump is not fully in charge in America, and I am not making any excuses for his bloodthirsty war against the people of Iran. What I am saying is this: NATO is America, America is NATO, but Trump does not like NATO. The American deep state does not like Trump. And the American deep state, along with the deep states in Europe and also in Britain, also do not like Trump. So there is a reason as to why they are not using their puppets in London and Paris and Berlin to engage diplomatically with the Iranians to find a solution, is because they want Trump to persist with this war in the hope that Trump will hang himself, that Trump will destroy the Trump administration, will end the Trump presidency. That is the reason.